Are you all right? Stephen asks out loud as he notices three more dark shadows of people, limping clumsily behind him, step into the light to reveal vicious bite marks, missing limbs, and blood. Lots of blood. Steve, what's going on? They start to back up closer to the tent as he trips and the light falls to the ground, hiding the slow-moving assailants. Sean, are you all right? Stephen asks. I'm fine, just tripped over a rock. We should get out of here. But where do we go? Sean asks, picking up the camera, and the light shows they are getting close, too close. Get your cell phone, chargers, anything that can be used as a weapon. Nothing too heavy in case we have to run. Oh, and grab my portable phone chargers. There are 3, Stephen says. Steve, look out! Sean yells. As Steve turns around, he sees a pale hand reach out to grab him. Stephen spins and punches him, sending him flying in the air and directly into the fire. As the fire flies high in the air, it illuminates the forest even more, and they both notice there are many, many more assailants coming in their direction. Steve? Sean whimpers. We have to move, Stephen says sternly, and they both back up, but this time check behind them, not to be snuck up on. Agreed, but where? The car? Sean says, forgetting he is still filming everything. The car is low on gas. I didn't think to fill it up until our trip back home. Whatever is going on, running out of gas while driving is not going to be a good idea. Good point. We should move. Soon. They're getting close, Sean says. There was a cabin we passed. It's not that far. If we can get there, we could barricade ourselves inside, Stephen says, thinking quickly, as he grabs Sean and they start moving. There's so many of them. Are we going to make it? Sean asks. They're slow. We could just run around them. As long as we don't run into a pack of them, we should be okay, Stephen says as they both maneuver around the slow-moving attackers. You remember where it is? Sean says. Yes, it's this way, Stephen says as they turn and run into the woods, easily avoiding them. After a few minutes, Stephen whispers, We're almost there. Then a loud scream fills the night. They stop running and see the creatures whose once attention was on them is now away from them. They notice a woman running and screaming not too far. We should help her, Sean whispers. I agree, follow me, Stephen says, as they head in her direction, still avoiding the undead. As they get a bit closer, they notice the screaming has stopped. As they hear a group of groaning noises, they stop and peek from behind a huge tree. They see about 6 to 8 of them on the ground, tearing the girl apart and eating her. What the hell? Sean says in shock. One of them hears this and turns to him and opens its mouth. Sean can see bits of flesh in its teeth and blood as it drips off of its mouth. Then they notice the girl they are devouring. Her eyes open suddenly, and she snarls at them too. Sean, let's go now. Stephen grabs Sean by the collar and pulls him away, and they are back to running away. They eventually find the cabin. It's a small log cabin with a front and back door and 4 windows. They run up and Sean knocks on the door. What the hell are you doing? Stephen asks. Knocking. Why? Sean asks. We're being chased by creatures of the macabre and they're eating people. And you're knocking on the door? Stephen says. You're right, but we still should be polite, Sean says. Screw polite. Stephen is about to break the door down, but Sean stops him. Sean turns the knob and the door opens easily. You see? Sean says. Shut up and get inside, Stephen says as they hurry inside. They close the door and lock it. Sean turns the camera around and the light illuminates the cabin to show a living room with a couch, coffee table, and a TV, a basic kitchen, and 3 doors, 2 bedrooms, and a bathroom. Hello? Is anyone there? Stephen calls out. I'll check the rooms, Sean says as Stephen stops them. The door was unlocked, so let's be smart. Someone may be hiding in here, or something, if you catch my drift, Stephen says. Got it. Sean walks over to the first bedroom and sees a bed, dresser, and a nightstand. He looks under the bed and opens the closet, which is completely empty. First bedroom clear, Sean says. Give me the camera, I'll check the next bedroom. Okay, be careful. He hands Stephen the camera and he walks into the second bedroom. This one's a little bit bigger, with a bed, a dresser, nightstand, and a trunk. He looks under the bed and sees nothing. He then opens the closet and there's nothing but hangers and shoes. A knock is heard from behind them, and Stephen swings the camera around and points it at the trunk. They move slowly to it. Sean holds the blade up, prepared to swing, as Stephen reaches out and flings the trunk open to reveal nothing but blankets. Stephen closes it. "Clear," Stephen says. "What was that noise, though?" Sean asks as they both leave the bedroom. They look at the front door and hear light taps and knocks. It was them. "They don't appear strong enough to break down the door," Stephen says. "We should barricade the windows, though," Sean says. "Let's wait. The noises may attract more. The shades are drawn, so let's just keep the lights off and the noise down. And maybe they'll forget we're in here and wander off," Stephen says. Just as Stephen says this, the camera light begins to dim. "What's going on?" Stephen asks. "The battery is dying. It needs to charge," Sean says. "Well, plug it in. We're gonna need it," Stephen says. "What was that? You're gonna need my vlogging?" Sean says. "Shut up," Stephen says, as Sean smiles. "The light's gonna go off, but I saw a flashlight in the closet in the first bedroom," Sean says, as Stephen goes into the bedroom and comes back with the flashlight and a lantern. He fires up the flashlight and the light flickers a bit but then stays on. "Okay, plug it in," Stephen says. Sean plugs the camera in and the light goes off and the display reads "Charging enabled." Then underneath it, it says the words "Upload complete." "Upload complete?" Stephen asks. "I forgot we were recording. That was just uploading to my channel," Sean says. "At least people will see," Stephen says. "I wonder if this is going on everywhere," Sean asks. "I think it is. Remember that weird call I got from Dean? I think it's happening all over," Steve says. "I need to use the restroom," Sean says. "Okay, it's right there." He begins to walk in, but then stops and goes back and grabs the blade, holds it up and says, "You never know, I might need this. This shit might get out of hand." "I hear you, bro," Steve says with a giggle. Sean flips him off and closes the door to the room. The room is a pretty decent size for being in such a small house. There's a toilet, sink, bathtub, and a shower, and the shower curtain is closed. Sean looks at it for a brief moment and then notices the curtain move. He creeps up slowly reaches for the corner of it to open it up. He rips it open quickly with one hand and the blade is ready to strike. He flings the curtain open and there is nothing there. He breathes a sigh of relief, drops the blade, and sits on the toilet. He looks up and sees a door to what he thinks may be another closet. He stares at it for a moment and sees the handle turn. He looks down at the blade, and before he could reach for it, the door swings open and a woman comes out and lunges for him. He falls off the toilet and hits the front side of his head on the corner of the sink, causing a slow trickle of blood. He slides across the floor and sits up against the bathroom door with a yelp. Stephen hears the commotion and runs over, but can't get in because Stephen is up against the door. Sean holds her head up with one hand while she is chomping at the air, and with the other he is trying to reach for the blade, but he can't get to it. She is too strong and is able to bite on Sean's arm, but then she stops, and her already weird face begins to contort, and she starts to back away from him, truly fearful. Stephen is beating on the door to try to get it open. The noise distracts the woman as she looks at the door. She sees Stephen and starts rushing at him. Sean takes the opportunity and uses both feet to kick her off and sends her flying at the bathtub, and she hits it with a thud. Without wasting a moment, Sean grabs the blade as she starts to crawl towards them. He raises the blade and swings it down and slices right into her head, and she falls to the ground dead, and the blood begins to pour out. Stephen looks proudly at his brother and says, "Are you all right?" Stephen asks as he sees the carnage in front of him. "We forgot to check the bathroom," Sean says as they both giggle. "Thank God I was on the toilet, because if not, I really would have shit myself," Sean says out of breath. "I hit my head on the corner of the sink. Don't worry, I brought the first aid kit." "Did she bite you?" Stephen asks. Instinctively, Sean hides his arm. "I don't think so," Sean says. "What do you mean?" Steve asks frantically. "Why?" "Come here, you have to see this," Stephen says. "Wait, shouldn't we cover her up or get rid of the body?" Sean asks. "She isn't going anywhere. You need to see this," Stephen says as he and Sean walk into the bedroom. There is a small TV and it is turned on. I took a shot and turned on the TV and it actually works. It's only a local news channel, but check this out. Stephen turns up the volume. As more developments are made clear, What we know right now is that it has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder. A widespread investigation of funeral homes, morgues, and hospitals has concluded that the unburied dead have been returning to life and seeking human victims. It's hard for us here to be reporting this to you, but it does seem to be the fact. Stay in your homes. Keep all doors and windows locked, preferably boarded shut. Also, if you have been bitten, please seek immediate medical attention. If you do not have access to a nurse or doctor, the best course of action is to quarantine that person. First-hand accounts have said perfectly healthy persons that were bitten over the course of a few hours became gravely sick, died, and returned as one of the undead, and will be as aggressive and try to devour any healthy person in their path. I know these reports are hard to believe, but there have been numerous accounts all saying the same thing. Now we are going to go on the scene with more information on what to do if you are face to face with the assailants. Johnny? Thanks, Ben. We are here with the town sheriff Romero. And Sheriff, let's say I run into one of these people. Do I stand a chance of living? There ain't no problem. All you gotta do is shoot them in the head. Aim for the eyes or beat them down. Lop their heads off. Tell anybody out there that I'd have a decent chance even if I was surrounded by 2 or 3 of them. If you have yourself a club or a good torch, light them up. You can hold them off, but the best thing to do is shoot between the eyes. Beat them or burn them, they go up pretty easy. There you have it. Steven turns down the volume. That's why. Now tell me honestly, were you bitten? Steven asks frantically. Sean puts his head down and holds his arm up to reveal teeth marks and a small amount of blood. Shit. No, Sean, no. Steven yells, but pulls Sean into a hug.